last night. How about LeBron James?
Oh, my.
Year 19, age 36, throwing down reverse jams in transition like he's 35 or something. It's crazy. Somehow, though, didn't make the medal stand. Nick, which three guys did it better this weekend?
All right, it's hard to make the medal stand on the weekend. We'll start with, you got to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all the games put together. Who are the best guys? Bronze medalist, James Harden. Is James Harden going to be able to handle not getting foul calls? The answer to that question, no. But if he gets foul calls like he did against the Pacers, he's back to being James Harden. Hey there, 19 free throw attempts, and that looks like a James Harden stat line. Last night didn't get the calls, and back to the new James Harden stat line. But hey, Friday, it was a nice little reminiscing for James Harden and the officials. Silver medal, LaMelo Ball. Luka called me this weekend, said, Dad, I feel like you're talking about LaMelo a little too much and me not enough. And I said, you know what, son? You are correct. Me and LeVar, we both have sons in the league, and we both have a favorite. Right now, it's Luka, but it could become LaMelo for me as well, just like LeVar. LeVar, we see how you look when you talk about LaMelo compared to your other boys. Gold medalist, a Nick Bing Bong RJ Barrett, 35, 8, and 6. For a feisty Knicks team.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad New York City has an NBA team they can be proud of, Broussard. There is the medal stand from the weekend in the NBA.
Wow. It was nice, Nick, but I think you got to get Carmelo Anthony on there. And maybe in front of James Harden, as much as I like the beard. Melo, Nick, 23 points, 24 points in 2 games, each game for the Lakers, 2 wins. He hits 11 of 16 threes. Melo was huge. He turned back the clock. He could have had 2 Melos on the stand.
That's true. That's fair.
All right. Hey, Kevin Wells, we just missed the cut.
You know, you don't get a lot of medal standings for defense, but Matisse might have had the 2 best blocks of the year in about a 2-minute period, both on Cam Reddish. There's one that he sends out for a souvenir, and look at this one. This is more Bill Russell. Give me that. I'll just take it and start the break. Congratulations, Matisse. You didn't make the medal stand, but fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to have to check the final score on that.
More than great.
There were a bunch of draw droppers, though, that Eagles game notwithstanding yesterday. Big upsets, little upsets. We'll start with Bucks at Saints. Now, the Saints lost Jameis Winston early. Hated to see this. Injured his knee on this play right here. He had to be carted off. Coach Sean Payton would say after the game, it was a significant injury. He said it potentially could end Jameis' season. So Trevor Siemian was in at quarterback because Taysom Hill's still out with a concussion. So big advantage Bucks, right? No, not right. Very wrong, actually. Let's fast forward. Minute and a half left in the game. Saints up 2. Tom Brady to P.J. Williams. He doesn't play for the Bucks. The interception to seal the upset, and the Saints go marching on in the NFC South, beating Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Nick, you surprised Brady and the Bucks couldn't get a win against the Saints after Jameis left with that knee injury? Or look what's happening.
Well, I was surprised, but I shouldn't have been. And a terrible job by me handicapping this game, because we had plenty of evidence that if there is one defense that has given Brady trouble since he's gone to Tampa, it's the one he was facing yesterday. Last year, he played 2 of his 3 worst games of the year against the Saints in the regular season. And then we're like, well, he beat him in the playoffs. Yes, but he threw for under 200 yards in that game. That was a game the Saints had control of until they turned the ball over on 3 out of their 4 final possessions to give that game away. For one reason or another, this Saints defense, which I have to give it credit, I underrated it going into the year. I thought it would be good, not good enough to carry them. It has been good enough to carry them. This Saints defense causes Tom Brady massive problems, and we've now seen it in every regular season game they've played, and you could argue in the playoff game as well. And so a terrible job by me. It was, of course, a somewhat worse job by Broussard, who had 2 MVP picks going into the year. One of them got hurt and is done for the season, possibly. The other one, Tom Brady, gave the game away. And Broussard, you had been pushing the committee to put Tampa at the top of the tiers. And I do think, even though I don't want to overreact to one game, But when you look at Tampa's schedule, they've played 4 awful teams. They blew them all out. The Eagles, they only won by 6, but they were kind of blowing them out. They have against bad teams, Tampa's great. They've played 1 mediocre team, New England. They played them to the final minute. They've played 3 good teams. Dallas, who they beat in the final seconds, and then the Saints, who I have to call a good team right now, and the Rams, both of whom beat them by multiple scores. And so I do think for Tampa, this is a significant loss when it comes to getting the 1 seed, especially with Dallas stealing a victory with their backup quarterback. And it's a significant loss psychologically because Tampa knows that beating up on the bad teams in the league doesn't do much for them. But the types of teams they're going to have to play in the postseason, Broussard, they haven't looked great against, and the defense has given up 30-plus points a game against.
Well, Nick, in hindsight, it's good that they won't be atop the tiers. We know that the top of the tiers has been a rough sledding. Kansas City, Baltimore, Arizona. And we know we know who's going to be atop the tiers. There's only one possibility this week, so we'll save that for another time. But of course I'm surprised. And you mentioned how Tampa Bay has given Brady some trouble. New Orleans has given Brady some trouble. They've also given Todd Bowles' defense some trouble because you went over Brady's stats. 4 teams in the last 2 seasons have scored 34 or more points against Tampa Bay. And 3 of them have happened against New Orleans. So really 2 teams have done it, but 3 of the 4 games it's happened in have been against the Saints. So there's something about them that gives Tampa Bay trouble. But overall, I'm not concerned at all. Yes, I was surprised. You're always surprised when Tom Brady plays poorly, and he still had 4 touchdowns and almost 400 yards passing, but clearly his turnovers, the 2 interceptions, the pick 6, the fumble, cost them the game. All right, it's a division opponent that had beaten them twice last year with a backup quarterback playing. So, yes, you would have thought that Tampa Bay would have came in not being flat. They were flat from the get-go. Even before Jameis got hurt, you could say, oh, they took Simeon lightly. No. I thought they were flat the whole day. So that was surprising. But, Nick, and I'm not trying to be funny, I think this was a good loss for them because they entered the game, and they are today, the team that leads the league in penalty yards. And, yes, the turnovers cost them, but the penalties cost them more, maybe more than the turnovers. 11 for 99 yards yesterday. They gave up 6 first downs to New Orleans on penalties, and the last drive, really the game-winning drive for New Orleans, they had stopped them on 3rd and 5. Tampa Bay had stopped them, but a defensive holding penalty kept the drive going, and obviously New Orleans scores and wins the game. So last year they started the season horribly in penalties, led the league through the first 4 weeks, and over the last 3 months, they were the least penalized team in the NFL after focusing on it. So I think, Wilds, this game will cause Tampa Bay, which maybe got a little cocky, to look in the mirror and say, all right, we've got to fix this. Our defense isn't as good as we thought it was over the last few weeks. We got to fix it. I think it was good ultimately, Wilds.
I agree. Don't forget, they had that interception nullified. They had back-to-back roughing the passer penalties, really dumb penalties. So I agree with you, Broussard. I think it was a good loss for Brady and a good loss for the Bucs. I think he was getting too cocky. He's had 15 touchdowns the last 4 games. He had 5 touchdowns against the Dolphins. He was openly whining to Jim Gray about not scoring 50 points on the Bears. And, Nick, you've been big on the Bucs schedule if we want to throw it up again. Their next 4 weeks after this bye, pretty simple, right? You've got Washington, the Giants, the Falcons, and the Colts. Those teams are